Welcome back to the deep dive. This week we're digging into something, well, something that's really shaken the entire world of gaming.
Yeah, it's a profound loss, and I think our mission here is to move past the headline, you know.
To, to really understand the legacy. For you listening, we want to distill why this one person was so important.
Exactly. Why he managed to define entire genres not just once, but you could argue twice.
And we have to start with the core fact. Vince Zampella died on Sunday, December 22nd. He was 58.
And when you look at the history of, say, the console shooter, his fingerprints are just, they're everywhere. This wasn't just an executive.
No.
He was a co-creator, a guiding force behind the multi-billion-dollar Call of Duty franchise, and then he did it again with Respawn. That's what makes this so significant.
Okay, so let's unpack the immediate events first. I think we need to cover the facts from the initial reports before we get into the decades of his work.
Sure.
The accident happened on Sunday, December 22nd at about 12:45 in the afternoon.
And the location they've specified is the Angeles Crest Highway near Altadena in California. It's a route that's known for being, scenic, but also...
Challenging. Very mountainous, winding roads.
Right.
The reports, they detail a single vehicle crash.
Yeah.
The car he was driving apparently veered off the southbound road.
And struck a concrete barrier. From the sounds of it, the impact was just catastrophic. It ignited a fire.
Yeah, and the reports state he was trapped inside. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
And, it's also crucial to mention, this is so difficult, but there is a passenger involved.
Yeah?
That person was ejected in the crash and later died from their injuries at a hospital. The reports are clear that their identity hasn't been released.
So, with all that, the California Highway Patrol is investigating the cause. That's all we know for now.
Which means, for us, the conversation has to pivot. It has to be about the professional legacy he leaves behind.
It's the only way to really do justice to his career. I mean, we're talking about someone who didn't just participate in gaming history.
No, he wrote huge parts of it.
So let's start at, I guess, the first huge chapter. The Infinity Ward Revolution. Let's say roughly 2003 to 2010.
He co-founds Infinity Ward, and right out of the gate, they don't just make a game, they create a blueprint.
With the first Call of Duty in 2003.
Yeah, which at the time felt so different. It was cinematic, immersive. It just had this visceral feeling that other shooters didn't. But that was just the warm-up, really.
Well, this is where the deep dive really begins, I think. The seismic shift was Call of Duty 4. Modern Warfare in 2007.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone agrees it revolutionized the FPS genre, but let's talk about how. What was the actual Zampella innovation there?
Well, it wasn't just moving from World War II. I mean, that was cool, but that's just a setting.
It was aesthetic.
Exactly.
Right.
The real revolution was mechanical. It was systemic. Before Modern Warfare, you played a match online, and when it was over, it was over.
It was a discrete experience. You start, you play, you end. And Modern Warfare introduced
persistence, that's the word. The idea that your player, your identity, carries on. He and his team built in these deep loadout systems, ranking up prestige.
the kill streaks.
And the kill streaks. That right there is a massive distinction. It wasn't just, am I having fun this second? It was...
I need to play one more match to unlock that red dot sight.
Yes. That was the foundational design that literally every competitor for years tried to copy. It created this sense of investment.
So the reward loop became much bigger than just winning. It was about earning that next piece of digital real estate, a new scope, a new perk.
And that single idea defined multiplayer game design for a decade. How they were made, how they were marketed.
So he didn't just create a great game, he helped invent the modern player engagement model. This whole philosophy of kinetic feedback and constant reward.
It is. And that philosophy made his studio the gold standard. They weren't following trends.
They were setting them. Which of course brings us to the next big turn in the story.
Yeah, things got complicated. As they often do with that level of success.
The sources all point to this pivotal moment. The very public legal dispute with their publisher, Activision.
And this was not some internal memo leak. It was a massive news story. It shocked everyone. And it led to him and his partner, Jason West, being forced out of the studio they built.
A crucial pivot point, like you said, because it sets up his entire second act.
Absolutely. The whole dispute was over royalties, creative control, the classic creator versus corporation story. And in the end, they lost the Call of Duty brand.
But they gained something else.
Complete creative freedom. And that became their brand. Their separation from Activision almost became this badge of honor for developers. It said, our talent isn't tied to one name.
So the consequence is immediate. 2010, they found Respawn Entertainment.
And you can feel that defiant energy in Respawn's culture from day one. It was all about prioritizing the talent, the product, the quality, almost in spite of corporate pressure. They had to prove the magic wasn't the name Call of Duty.
The magic was them.
It was them.
Which brings us to the Respawn Renaissance, his second act. And what's fascinating is he didn't just try to make another Modern Warfare.
No, he took those core principles, smooth gameplay, innovative mechanics, and applied them to completely new and honestly pretty risky ideas.
First up was the Titanfall series. And if you want to understand what people mean by Zampella's focus on game feel, you have to look at Titanfall.
Let's define that, because game feel is such an abstract term.
It is.
It's that immediate, almost physical response you get from pressing a button. Is it instant? Does it feel good? In Titanfall, the movement was it was poetry. Fluid wall running, double jumping.
And then combining that with these huge lumbering mechs, the contrast was incredible.
Especially in Titanfall 2. I mean, that movement system was revolutionary. You felt like a superhero. It wasn't just adding a jump button. It was totally redefining how you interact with the world.
It felt seamless, which is just unbelievably hard to program.
And that DNA, that fast, kinetic, polished movement, that is precisely what gave birth to what came next.
Apex Legends.
The global phenomenon.
Which is amazing because the Battle Royale space was already getting crowded by then.
Yeah.
How did his philosophy let Apex cut through all that noise?
Two things. Speed and communication. First, it had that best-in-class Titanfall movement, which made it feel so much more fluid and vertical than its rivals.
Right.
But second, and this was the genius part, they introduced the smart ping system.
The ping system. That's a huge takeaway. It allowed for such complex nonverbal communication.
It was a game changer. Suddenly, you didn't need a mic to effectively communicate with your team about enemies, loot, strategy.
It just lowered the barrier to entry for team play so much.
Exactly. It was a design choice rooted in making the experience better, smoother, less friction. It's a perfect example of his philosophy. Innovate on the core interaction to make it feel effortless.
And his influence just kept expanding. I mean, he then goes on to oversee the development of the Star Wars Jedi series.
Which is a whole different ballgame.
Totally. This is where that compelling narrative piece of his philosophy really comes into play.
And it just shows the maturity of his approach. It's not a multiplayer shooter, it's a single-player, story-driven adventure. And yet...
it has that same feel.
It has that same feel. The lightsaber combat, the traversal, the polish, it all has that Zampella-approved quality just translated into a different genre.
That's the thread that ties it all together, isn't it? That relentless focus on smooth, innovative gameplay and compelling narrative. It worked for a World War II shooter, a modern shooter, a sci-fi mech game, a battle royale, and a Star Wars adventure.
The list is just staggering. He wasn't just a guy with good ideas. He knew how to build the teams and the culture that could execute those ideas to a level of polish that few could match. He didn't just make IPs.
He made design engines.
That's a great way to put it. Engines that produced enduring quality.
So when you lay it all out, the architect of the modern console shooter with COD4, the guy who made movement feel incredible with Titanfall, the leader who cracked the Battle Royale code with Apex, and the guy who delivered a beloved Star Wars story. It's just an incredible depth and variety of impact.
And you can see that impact confirmed in the tributes that have been pouring out. It's not just from his own employees.
No, it's from competitors, leaders at rival studios, and millions of fans who've spent, thousands of hours in these worlds he helped build.
His legacy is just etched into the history of gaming, permanently.
He wasn't just a figurehead. He was the advocate for pushing the boundaries, for that extra layer of polish that made his games feel so good to play.
Which brings us to, I think, the final thought for you to consider. His impact wasn't just his talent, it was his presence. His ability to enforce those high standards across all these studios.
The machine he built is still running, right? The franchises are still massive. But that foundational leadership, the person who was the ultimate decider on what smooth, innovative gameplay actually meant, he's gone.
And so the real question for the future for the teams at Respawn is this. Zampella was a master of institutionalizing game feel and narrative depth.
That special sauce.
Yeah. So which of those core elements, the kinetic movement, the innovative systems, the storytelling, which one is going to be the hardest to consistently replicate now that the ultimate standard bearer isn't there to guide them?
To give that final nod of approval.
Exactly. Maintaining that specific, almost proprietary level of excellence without the original architect, That's the true challenge they face. And that's something to think about the next time you drop into Kings Canyon or, swing a lightsaber.